Namaste. I welcome you to my podcast, Holistic Conversations, with your host, Mamina Das. Join me in my journey, in all of our journey, because we are all unique and we are the universe. Welcome to Holistic Conversations. Okay, but what just happened to the setting? Okay, we got it now. Okay, we got it
Beautiful.
now.
Wonderful. Hooray.
Okay, something keeps coming up, So I'm also learning. So I this situation always brings me to my level of knowledge, and which is really limited.
Well, look at you. You're doing it with grace and humor and just honesty, transparency. I love it. I love it.
Okay. Happy
Yeah.
Friday, everyone,
Mm.
and welcome to Holistic Conversations. And yeah, we are done with our week. We are now happy for the weekend. And I would like to welcome our guest for tonight, Sharon Ann Rose. Am I pronouncing your name correct?
You are. Yes. Thank you, Mamina.
Okay. What if I call you just Rose?
Oh, I love that. I love that. I welcome that. Yeah, so the story, so I was named Sharon. Sharon Ann is my middle name. And I used to always ask my mom when I was, that like 8, 9, 10 years old, like, why did you name me Sharon? Like I didn't like the name. And she said, oh, sweetheart, I named you after a rose, the rose of Sharon. And so yeah, as I got older and after I became an author, that was my writer author name, and now it's my business name. And so, yes, please do call me Rose. I will receive that. Hmm.
Okay, amazing. And I hope we are going to have an amazing time with her. She has so many things that she is doing, and I'm really excited to know about what she's doing, how she came to this life path, career path, and everything. There's a lot to know. But before that, I think we were talking before going live that we are going to start with a prayer, and I will let her lead, and I'll just close my eyes and sink into the prayer.
Mm,
Thank you, Rose.
beautiful. Thank you, Mamina. Mwah. So I will close my eyes as well and welcome those who are here with us live, as well as will be listening in the future, as well as presencing to all those we are connected to. I invite us to center into our hearts and to feel this beauty, this grace, this sweet opportunity that opens when we allow ourselves to drop into our heart. And I invite us to take a deep, gorgeous inhale, and then a very soft, accepting exhale. And tonight, today, may our conversation between Mamina and I, between two mothers, women, artists, healers, creatives, may it be deeply guided by the great blessings of the feminine heart. May it enrapture and embrace the tenderest parts and most vulnerable parts in you. And may together we each walk away with a deeper sense of what it means to live from the heart of love itself. Many blessings on our conversation, and thank you for having me, Mamina.
Wow, that was just so beautiful. And I loved your pace, nice and
Mm.
slow, easy. I could breathe in between, and that was amazing. And I think the beauty of feminine that we always associate with only women, but it's not uh, to be only with women, but it is, we are, our life is made of both the feminine and the masculine, you know. And I feel very happy that I'll be touching my feminine today with Rose.
Mm.
Looking forward
Mm.
to it.
Mm. Mm. It's so beautiful because, even as you're saying that, so many other cultures and languages really do feminize and masculinize words, for example, or objects, because when they speak of them, like they'll say, do you know what I mean? La, or they'll say el or ella, and they're giving, and it's beyond gender, like you said, but they're giving this blessing and bestowing these qualities, acknowledging that there's masculine and feminine all around us and within us. And it's a really beautiful thing when we touch into that and realize that, yeah, this is so far beyond gender. This is so very much about the originations of life itself, you know. So, yes.
Yeah, and I feel really very happy when I feel my feminine, you know. In now today's world, we are so much juggling in so many other things that we have become so protective, and we always talk about strength and like so our masculine is like leading in most of our everyday life, you know. So
Yeah.
when I realized that, of course, I learned something, some qualities about the feminine energy, you know. And then when I go through those feelings of feminine energy, that gives me such a relief, you know. Like I feel
Mm.
like, wow, how amazing is that? How amazing is that? We can live both the energy in so many different situations, and they can make us very special, you know, like
Mm. Mm.
alive. I mean, not special, but alive, definitely.
Mm.
Definitely alive.
Mm. Mm. Yes, and we're coming into a time where we're all so aware of how we have led our own personal lives and also our collective lives. And, that masculine energy, it's apparent that it is exhausted. It's exhausted from leading, it's exhausted from doing it a certain way that it had a lot of expectations put on it. And that feminine is that place that's willing to be the unknown, because it really is. It's like the portal, it's the womb, and in that is what nature forms in through the unknown, through that dark space of the womb. And so, that masculine in all of us is just hungering, to kind of be re-embraced and remade. And that does require that we step into our feminine more and more and more.
Yeah, I think that's where we feel whole in ourselves. I completely feel like I'm just amazed that a woman feeling the feminine is nothing can be more intimate than that. You know, like I feel it's very intimate. For me, it's like I have touched my life. You know, in a very
Mm.
sacred way. You know,
Mm.
what I mean to say is like it makes me feel like life is sacred. You know,
Mm. Mm.
and I am ready to love my life. I'm just
Mm.
ready to love my life.
Mm. 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 Oh, I love that. That needs to be like put across, yeah, like a bumper sticker. I am ready to love my life. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are all ready to love our lives and love
Yeah.
this life. and really understand how to do that, to do that sincerely and realize to love something, right? Inherent. I think it's a fascinating thing, but I think we very rarely do we truly understand love, and it's a word that's gotten tossed around and battered and bruised and rejected and then kind of sensationalized and romanticized. And even when I just heard you say it and I saw your smile and heard your laughter, it really is a place, isn't it, when we go to love our lives, we stop trying to force life to be a certain way. And we can just feel that bubbling up in our body of aliveness and joy. And just like we become the presence that is willing to accept life on life's terms, knowing it is here, you know what I mean, to really be a expression of the deepest love. And when we can see it, that changes everything, doesn't it? That changes like the playing field, and
Absolutely.
then we're
Yeah.
not fighting with
Yeah.
ourselves and
Yeah.
with each other. And
Yeah.
then we just, we make really different choices, and they're choices from calmness and choices from,
Mm.
I don't mean like acceptance of everyone and everything in that way. What I mean is like acceptance of here we are together, and we are being given this incredible responsibility to love
Yeah.
life, like
Yeah.
down to the
Yeah.
marrow of its bones.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm so happy that I'm in this realization that doesn't matter. I'm ready to love my life. Doesn't really matter. So nowadays I have this energy which keeps me driving most of the time. Hey, you're ready for your life. You're ready to love your life. Something that is speaking up to me, And I feel like my heart is so full and complete. I can breathe easy. I can live easy. I feel good about it. I just feel so good about it.
Mm. God, you're just bringing me to tears. Like that's what it does, doesn't it? It just
Yeah.
opens something in us when we're in presence to that. Like you are literally bubbling over. You are contagious. As you're doing this, and it really gives permission for others to also go, huh, I wonder how I can feel that way. And I wonder, what it will take for me to just say, I'm willing to love my life. Because that's where we have to begin.
Mhm.
Because we're so used to trying to change everything. And it doesn't mean our life won't transform, because it will.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we won't change, because we will. But it starts with this like, no, I don't want to come at it the same way I've been doing, because that obviously hasn't worked,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because when we're
Yeah, yeah.
experiencing so much pain and suffering and angst, we have to
Yeah.
come into that soft willingness and
Yes.
acceptance that says, wow, I know there's got to be another way to really love my life. So.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that amazing? Okay.
Mm.
Coming back to you. Like,
I want to keep talking about how you are loving your life. I love this. Oh.
yeah, let's talk about you. Let's learn about you, Rose. Let's know something about you. Yeah. If you want to share something from your childhood and start with that, that'll be just amazing.
You bet. Sure. So, when I was a young one, I was very quiet. I really was a bit overwhelmed by the world. It felt heavy. It felt, as so many children do, I think all children do, we come in with these big, vast, wide open hearts, and we want to bring joy. We want to bring delight to others. And so I was very clear that that was my mission. And there was a lot of heaviness. There was a lot of suffering around me. And so I was always trying to figure out, how can I make this better? And I spent a lot of time on my own. as a result, because it was very dense, really, really dense for me. And so I would go out into nature from a very young age, like, yeah, like 2, 3 years old, I'd waddle, outside. We had a really sweet yard, but then we also had this lovely, and to me back then it looked like a mountain, but when I've seen it in my adulthood, it was actually a hill. But it was nature, and there were trees and creatures and life, and I would just waddle on over there and sit for long periods of time, and I could feel nature protecting me. I could feel nature reaching out its hand to me, and I could feel it also emanating wisdom to me in a way that I actually understood it more than I understood humans talking. And so, that began just this beautiful, it was kind of a salvation and also an initiation at the same time. And I was just sharing this story earlier today with a group of women, and my maternal grandmother had this beautiful rose garden. You had to cross a bridge of, over water to get to it, and it was in the side of a cliff of rocks. It was almost like a grotto. And she, was very devoted to the Mother Mary, and she had statues of her, and then she had roses everywhere. And I very clearly remember, this whole transmission, not just with Mother Mary, but with the roses. And it was so palpable to me that they were giving me information and wisdom, about what my future path would be, and about how important it was to listen really deeply and sincerely, to the language of the earth and the language of flowers and trees, and really, more of that nonverbal place. And so that's kind of how I started my journey, right there in my grandmother's rose garden. Mm.
That's amazing. I mean, I can just imagine how different people have different calling, from their childhood, like you were saying that the flower taught you um, about yourself, or put a meaning to your life, like amazing. That's amazing. So I see the relation between your name and your rose being your guide in your life.
Yes, do you see that?
I do, I
And then when I look up at the screen, literally like right on your screen, there's a rose coming out of my head.
I never knew that I will have a rose in my show. Like it's a painting apart from that. But today I feel the match. Rose is well placed in my screen. Okay. Now talking about your, how did this career choice happen, like for you? I remember reading about you. You were a sociology student.
Yes, yeah. So
Tell me
I
about that.
actually, yeah. So I went to school for, I didn't quite know what I was going to be doing, and yet I was born into it. And so I'm the youngest of 4 girls, and again, because I had this nature that wanted to really listen and watch what was going on around me, and not just on the surface. I could feel it palpably, what was going on deeper. And, to this day, people, especially women I work with, are always like, how do you know? Like, that's my deeper truth. I'm like, I can just hear it. And so I could hear things that were going on in my family, with my sisters, with women. So I was naturally drawn to studying women. And I went to college and I was doing sociology, and then specifically women's studies. And I loved it. And then all my internships during college, and then right after college, some of the work I was doing was all with women, and it was women in very underserved conditions, women in battered women's shelters, women in prison, um, single mamas, mamas coming from other countries, immigrant mamas, teen mothers, etc. And that had such a huge imprint on me. And yeah, and it just caused me to, and kind of words are slipping away right now, but it caused something really deep to happen inside of me, of this kind of blazing. I have my astrology is very much, I have a lot in Aries. And so I had this blazing, passionate heart and kind of warrioress energy of, wow, this sense of women, but then even deeper, the feminine wisdom was not being honored, was not being heard, was not, didn't even have a place to be spoken about, didn't even have, people couldn't even understand that there was a whole nother way of being, and the kind of the rhythms of it, and um, the way that it moved through the world and life, and almost was like this vessel, to have the wisdom of life itself to move through you, instead of you to always be the one putting, like, taking and putting it out. Is like, no, you became it and you moved with it. And so that had such an imprint on me. And then when I unexpectedly became pregnant and entered the journey of motherhood, I had that ferociousness rise up for me. Like, I was going to protect myself as a birthing woman, as a birthing feminine vessel that had been called upon, to literally bring creation into life. And so I started studying that, um, literally in my own body and psyche. But then also I began just studying this, and I would, for example, after I had my first child, then I was drawn to share work and began, writing and building out material and having courses and events and things about being pregnant and about what it means to, like, um, in a soulful, but in the nonverbal realm, to connect with the life inside of you. And then as my children would grow, I would then kind of start studying that in me, directly in my life, and then with the women I work with, and then out in the world through books and training courses, etc., what it meant to grow life, and bring it forward. And I would build things and offer things, and then on it went to the various life stages and cycles in the female body's journey, all the way up to now, which, yeah, I just went through menopause a few years ago. And so now I've been really looking at that. And again, looking at it from the angle of, um, more of what culture does to these beautiful moments of initiation, and how much as a culture we're missing out on taking in the deep, deep transformation that happens. And it certainly happens on a physical level, but it happens on such a deeper level. And I have a background in shamanism. And so I also kind of walk that edge of what's happening for a woman, especially in her psyche and kind of in her underworld descent, in nature, as she goes through these times of deep, deep transition.
Wow. It's amazing that everything started from your body, right? Your body
Mm,
was a guide for your journey until now, huh? That was
yes.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
just dealing with your real life and then bringing it to the world, sharing with women. How
Yeah.
how do you think
Mm.
has it been like with women? I want to ask this question. How are you feeling doing this for women from different walks of life?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it feels really tender, because I love you sharing that about it began in my body, but my work begins in the woman's body, in the female body. And I keep holding her so she can return to her own body. And I've been amazed at that journey is intense. And I don't, I'm now 50, I'm going to be 54. Um, I still am
I
unpacking.
totally don't feel that.
And
That's just a number. It doesn't have any feeling
I
to it.
know, I
Just put
know.
it aside.
Yeah, and it feels important, like, to be like, "Yeah, I've been in this body," you know what I mean, for this amount of time on this earth. But what I mean is, like, it just keeps going deeper and deeper, the ways that, culture and uh, ancestry and traditions and upbringing, and then myself have stood in the way of me just simply perceiving and feeling my body and always starting there. Like it takes great effort for me and for the women I work with, like great effort to keep coming back to our body. And so, and then each body is so dramatically different because of culture, upbringing, you know, whatever your spiritual and religious traditions are, whatever your gender identity is, because you may have a female body and you may identify differently. There are just so many things that have caused us to not be able to just sit in our own body. And I'm just thinking of this because it just happened a day or so ago with a woman in session. And she's been working really hard in those moments where she gets triggered to not instantly, you know, go to the old places of presuming she's unsafe and unloved, which is so often what we do when we first go into the body. It's terrified. It's utterly terrified. And so she said, "Oh my God, this is so hard for me." And it was like, "Yeah, honey, it is really hard because we're born and we're not taught how to just be like what you said, love our lives. We're not taught how to love these bodies, love these lives, be at peace with what they feel, with what happens to them." And so, you know, she really understood it is a daily moment by moment practice to keep returning. Return, return, return. Feel, give permission for, you know, what's moving through you so that you can show up even more fully for all others in your life with so much love. And, you know, so though each woman is so different, though each body is so different, it does always come back to that real core of what will it take for you personally to feel how it feels to be in your own body and all that comes with that.
And you have seen the difficulty of seeing that those parts and being vulnerable to them and not being able to accept and not move, stay and see them and hear them has been so far the hardest experience that you have seen. Like, that's what
Yeah,
I understood. Like, it's so hard. It's so hard to, like, wow, that's a lot of
yeah,
things.
and the sweetness of once you taste it, then it's so simple. It's like dramatically simple because you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, this was it. Like, this is the thing I've been not doing." And it really is. It's like, take a breath, feel your body, say, you know, planted in your own feet on this earth, feel this earth holding you and move from that. And for so many of us, you know, even when you ask someone, you know, and when I'm asking a woman, like, "How are you doing? How are you feeling?" She's here. She's like
Yeah.
going through all the things of what happened that day or that week and of her life. And that has a place and it can be very powerful. But when you say, let's drop into the body and just be with it, it can be very, very challenging to not then bring
Yes.
words to it and form and talk about it. You know, it's deep. It's really, really deep.
Yeah. Yeah. I can feel the. Uh, it's so raw. You know, it's so raw. Like you feel the wound. You see the wound. You know, and I think that is very difficult. Very difficult. And what I heard when you say that once you taste it, until you have tasted it, I would like to put it that way. Until you have tasted it, then that whole thing becomes sweet because you now want to be curious to clean those, clear those, open your heart more to life rather than shrinking your life. That's what happens, I believe, when you said that once you taste it, once you taste it.
Yeah, and the word abandonment often comes up
Mm-hmm.
because there's this interesting way where that's the raw place. We
Yeah,
realize, oh my God, I've been abandoning myself. I've been abandoning my direct experience, not as like a self centered, egotistical trip, as a lived, as a lived feeling. Like when I'm looking at this lovely rose on the back screen, it's like that rose feels itself a certain way and it's really different than a tree might be. Or do you know? It's like it requires a different way of receiving nourishment, of allowing that those vitamins and minerals to move through, and then what those vitamins and minerals are actually asking you as a particular organism. And then going back to your tagline of you are the universe, like the universe is in you, it requires a certain way that it then moves through you. Like if you're going to have to open up and be this beautiful red rose, or if you're going to need to grow these like limbs and become really tall like a sequoia tree, it requires something different and also the same, and so it's just
yeah,
meaning like, yeah, we can't be a sequoia if we're meant to be a rose, but
yeah,
and we both get to open and receive life's nourishment through us
yeah.
equally and richly.
Yeah, and also I understand that the first step to this entire process is a change in mindset. Because for me, it is definitely mindset. Definitely, I have experienced that, and I have struggled with that, and I have hold on to that, and I felt like I am somewhere. There's this heaviness in my heart because I'm not able to shift. I'm not able to shift. I'm not able to shift. I see, I hear, I read, I write, but I'm not able to walk with that feeling, that change, that opening. So, but once after getting tired of so many things, like I'm like, I don't have any more choice. I'm exhausted. And I think that was a right place for me to, okay, okay, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm ready. Doesn't matter. I'm ready. You know?
Yes. Yeah, and it's interesting because mindset definitely has a place in my work for sure. And what you just said, that exhaustion that comes in where we just surrender, and we know that there's something within us that is far vaster than we were aware of in our minds. And that also is palpable. Like that's a physical, tangible energy that then is what holds and carries us when the mind will do what the mind will do. Like I don't know anyone who's, you know what I mean? Like trying to control the thoughts of the mind is insane. And allowing the power of this kind of sense of safety that we will not abandon ourselves. We will be able to hold ourselves through any thought, through any idea, like the worst, most self critical idea. It's fine. It's fine if that comes up. Literally bring it on. We can get to that state because we trust this deep, kind of rooted, grounded feeling of safety that once we know I'm not going to turn away from myself no matter what, even if I become this like wretched I mean like monster who has all these horrific ideas about herself,
Yes.
I'm going to let those be held by that deeper like
Mm-hmm.
rooted
Mm-hmm.
centeredness that I've come to, and that's what I really work with women of, you don't get to abandon yourself, you don't get to just do that anymore. because then some part of you, when you do that, believes that thought you just had about yourself. It's like, if it's like, you're awful, you're stupid, like you'll never become anything, you're nobody. If you are trying so hard and then you kind of like leave yourself and won't look at that thought, then it has control over you and it causes you to make choices. But if you know, like, I'm not going to walk away from that. There's something in me, this love, this rootedness, this groundedness, this acceptance, then you're able to look that thought straight in its yellow glowing eyes and say, what do I want to believe now? What's true for me? And this idea can just become quieter. It can just be quieter. I don't have to give it so much, of my credence
Yeah.
and credit.
It's interesting we are talking about it. I'm able to talk about all these things, but in real situation, I have been through situations where I'm like, ah, lost it. I just lost it. After so many times losing it. I mean, when I said like to myself. Through my prayers, I used to hear something in my dream. I used to see something. I understood those as some signs of faith. Signs, I mean, SIGNS, like the signals. Uh, that there is something beyond, and there is someone who's watching you and taking care of you. You are taken care of, and you are loved, and you are gifted this life. So this whole entire philosophy, you say it, or this idea, or whatever it is, through my dreams and through my prayers, through my meditations, through my chanting, I am able to now feel like somebody is taking care of me. I'm okay, and I'm okay. I don't know, but I'm okay. That kind of feeling, like there's this uncertainty, but there is this safety that, okay, I know somebody is watching me, somebody is taking care of me, and my days are going good, and I'm breathing, living, eating, doing my task, all good.
Yes, it's so brilliant, isn't it? And that pivot, when we start partnering with that energy that we know is caring for us, that cares about us, that loves us, that wants, all the best for us, when we partner with that, woo, then we're, again, like you just pointed out, we're making really soft, loving, harmonious decisions about our own lives and also about all those, connections and relationships that we have.
Amazing, amazing. Where do you live?
So
Canada?
I am in the United States on the
United
west
States, okay.
west coast. I'm in
Yeah,
Portland, Oregon.
yeah, I simply forgot that. Um,
And where,
and
remind me
and
where you are. Are you on the east coast of?
I'm not sure. I'm very not very good at geography, so I don't know. I'm very much happy that somebody discovered something called GPS, so I can drive. I can drive to my work, come back home. I'm very happy about that. But to say it simply, I live in North Carolina,
Mhm. Beautiful.
Harrisburg. It's a small city. Yeah. And so far so good. I mean, I love the energy of this place, and
Mm,
I think it has given me a new direction.
mm, mm, mm.
I love it. And coming back to you, I wanted to ask, like, I forgot. Um, do you see any changes in women uh, with uh, when they are wanting to become a mother, or they are going through that process, like they are receiving it well, or they are what is it about, what is the thought behind this entire bringing, creating a life, bringing a life to the world?
Mm,
Has
mm,
it
mm,
changed, like from the day you experienced and now that you are helping so many other women
mm,
and
mm,
other genders too that you said? So
mm.
how, what changes have you seen in women so far?
Yeah, what I love is it's very palpable how much more support a a pregnant mother is receiving, and how much more understanding there is from that woman of what a deep and holy place this is to be pregnant. And what a there's so much more respect for mothers and mothering. And in my day, it wasn't like that long ago, and yet it feels, when I see mothers now or pregnant women, and I'm like, wow, it feels like a totally different generation, and they have such, this glorious acceptance of their bodies and the changes, and it's all so palpable with life and creation. And though I felt those things, there was still, a lot more shame and a sense of not feeling supported or having to fight for that support. And so I love now, like one of my most favorite things, a lot of photographers, you'll see when a woman is pregnant, she'll get pictures, of her beautiful belly. And it's just so sensual and just such like a goddess. And now there's so much acceptance too of the whole family. And, back then when I became pregnant, my husband and I really fell into traditional roles, which was interesting. I wouldn't have seen that coming. Um, and now it just feels like there's such a glorious opportunity to really explore what you want your role to be and to come into that mothering, not feeling like you have to prove anything as a woman, but knowing you have so much choice and so much support to really flourish, not just as a mama, but as a woman who is becoming a mother. And what really happened for me is it was so much about me as mother and not so much about me as woman. And that really took a long journey to reclaim that, really reclaim that. So it's so rich. I love watching, you know, new families form and the female body go through pregnancy. It's really an art. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah, it's an art, definitely it is. Because we have no control, I mean.
And as we were even talking about this kind of um, really letting that first connection be to your body, it's like that's where I learned, really began to
Yeah.
taste it. And when you would have in labor or delivery, you would have contractions, and you couldn't not feel those, and get you were so out of your mind. And and the more that I saw other women experiencing that, and I really harnessed that energy of what we must do each time we're preparing, to usher forward something new in life. It's like we've got to feel all the feelings and literally be like this primal being who screams if she has to scream and cries if she has to cry and gets very quiet, and always, always, always must be held by the deepest reverence, safety, and celebration.
Yeah, safety and celebration, beautiful. Very nice combination. uh, Tell me something about, you also do massage for babies, right?
So one of the first things that I did in my journey is I was helping and supporting and teaching massage and nonverbal communication for parents with their babies. So we would have these classes. It was so fun. And we would be, in a circle, and it would be, both parents or caregivers, sometimes grandparents came, and they would have their babes. And the whole journey was about helping to support this understanding of nonverbal communication and connection, and really learning, one, they were learning massage for their baby, but it was all in a foundation of um, asking permission in that nonverbal way, like with your hands, and like feeling your baby's yes, feeling your baby's no, feeling that there's an entire world of connection that pre comes before words. And it was really helping and supporting parents into that space, and also helping them then learn, the sacred art of infant massage. And it was really, really beautiful.
Yeah. Um, uh, is is this something from your culture, or is it something learned?
Infant massage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my teacher, she was here in the United States, but she learned a lot of it from other cultures, because I know in other cultures to do and share that kind of level of touch and massage, et cetera, for health and well-being, and also to bring, the spirit of a person into their body. Again, we're talking about that. Like, a lot of people did not get that. Our American culture, especially, did that was like the furthest thing from the reality of what was happening here. And it was,
Yes.
and she learned
Yes.
it from other cultures and then brought it here and shared it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm from India, so we have this culture of massaging the baby and the mother also, so that they both are taken care of, and after coming out from India, when I was experiencing other culture, and I'm like, somewhere, I mean, nowadays, most of the moms, they are like, no, don't touch, don't do this, don't do that. I used to feel like so awkward, because I did for my son. I did massage him for when he was until 9 years. I mean, I kept doing it, and until now, also when we fall sick, like flu or something like that, we do this typical oil thing. If we are feeling better with that thing, we don't go into medicine. But if it is not going away with that oil massage, and then we go for medicine. So the first treatment starts at home, and then we go to medicine. Basically, that's what my culture is about. And I was so surprised when I learned about these cultures, and when I learned about you and I read about you, I felt so good that somebody is bringing the culture again. I mean, it's so amazing.
And this is such an ancient way of reminding a new, like new life, where they begin and end. It's like you're reminding them with every touch, this is your body. This is your sacred vessel. Like, this is how you get to feel. And then let alone the amount of incredible benefits of that touch and what it brings forward between parent and child, mother and child. It's just like unbelievable. And it really is devastating that, we've been so absent from that kind of deep, deep skin to skin contact here in this
Yes,
culture.
absolutely. It's so amazing. I mean, I have seen in my family also, like, parenting is changed. They don't do all such things. I'm like, they are child. They need those kind of touch, and how else it's going to be a loving exchange. The only way is non-verbal for a child, of course.
Yes, exactly. And all those places that we get to learn what safety, true safety is in our bodies, it's right there, isn't it? When you have loving touch from your caregiver, from your, most intimate provider, that just changes the way you look at the universe. And you do then form these notions and ideas, like the world is a safe place. I will be provided for. I will be respected. my body will be honored. That all happens in those formative years, and with parent with massage for a babe, it's profound.
Yeah, it's profound actually. And do you feel any difference? Like, have you seen children grown up with baby massaging, how they are doing, and the children who are not experienced those kind of massages? Do you make out any difference in their
Yeah, and I'll come
feel?
first from first experience, my own direct experience. So I have three boys, and so for example, my I was learning the art of infant massage when my eldest was a baby. So I would even bring him to class, and when he was willing, I would even show the parents on him. And so he had massage easily, like again, yeah, 9, 10 years old. And my second son also, I was doing it with him well into his young youth. And then my third son, reality of my life, I was 40 years old when I had him, a lot going on. I did it some, but not to the extent that I did with the other two boys. And he is very not quite in his body, like super hyperactive, really hard for him to feel grounded and centered. And there's even, when he's hurting, which is the interesting thing, he doesn't, the other two boys would always welcome me when they were hurting or going through illness or something. He doesn't. And that I've always looked at too as, you were not used to that level, you know what I mean, of safety and touch from a formative. I mean, of course, you know what I mean? Like I carried him, had him, he slept with us, all those things. But I'm really aware of what that that
Wow.
stroking, that real
Yeah.
presencing to a baby's body, what that does, And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's one example, and I'm sure
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of research out there around that as well, of
Yes.
the
Yes.
benefits of it and how it then helps you know someone as they
Yeah.
grow to be very grounded in themselves.
Yes, I think I'm so happy to talk about this topic because it's been long that I didn't talk about
Mm,
all these things.
mm, mm,
And I'm really happy that you are doing this and look at the contribution that you have done, like it's profound. The contribution is profound. So I would really like to work with you in future. I don't
mm,
know
mm, mm,
because I work with children
mm,
and I
mhm.
feel like they are not getting enough of what their basic needs. I mean, other than food and sleep and there are so many other ways of a child's needs being met, but we somehow culturally don't know that how child rearing is different and in different cultures and how that can contribute to a child's growth in a profound way. So I wish this today here that I would like to absolutely have a retreat with you coming over here and
Mm,
doing this
mm.
with new mothers. So I really wish to do that. Let's see what happens. But this is a great.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting too. So my youngest is 13, and it is a very different culture now. Very different society now than it was when my two older boys were going through their youth. And so I was just even so when my youngest son is sick or something, or maybe if we've just had a long day and we're sitting on the couch and he does allow me to rub his feet. Oh my God, like that alone, what that does for that sense of bonding. And you can just feel him open to me in a way that, he often doesn't. And again, I just think it's never too late, to
Yeah.
practice this beautiful art of reconnecting through physical touch. It's really
Yes.
needed. And for the youth of today more than ever, because what they are up against, man, they need that feeling of safety in their
Yeah.
body, and they need to know how to kind of get regulated with all the stress hormones and things that are happening.
Yes, that's amazing. I think is not only to limited to children, but for adults also. We have in our ancient scriptures, uh, like um, from different age groups, they have massages for everything, you know. um, like in the then era that I'm talking about, like 500 or 1000 years ago, that used to be the way of life, you know. There were not no medicines basically. It used to be all oils and herbs, massage and sunbathing and steam bathing, and everything was there from the then. We are again coming back to those practice of living, you know, those practices. So um, it's great, and I'm really very happy. Like I told my mom that I'm talking to you, and I read about you to her, you know. So she was so happy, and she told this is really nice because she has us delivered not with any, I mean, kind of not in a OT, not in a OT. She had midwives and in the labor room. You know, me and my younger brother, we were born normal delivery, so she was fine. She didn't take any medicine. Her father was a homeopathic doctor. You know, so she was in those medications which did not have any side effect. So she was really happy, and I told her that I met someone, you know, who does baby massages in nowadays, and she was like, "Go
Oh,
for it! I just
oh,
love it. The world is not becoming a nice place. You do it more, you learn more, you talk about it more." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in the right place."
oh, that's so beautiful. Oh my God. Tell your mother thank you. And I just feel, yeah, I feel emotional and really touched by the acknowledgement, of
Yeah, it's huge
these
for her.
traditions
It's
are
huge.
so
Yeah.
ancient and they're needed and we have forgotten. And it's so fascinating. One of my favorite practices, I really during menopause, this was something that I began, but I do self massage, and it is out of the Indian tradition of abhyanga. And so I do, massage several times a week before I, have my shower. And it is when I began it,
Same,
even though I,
same, 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 same.
it is so profound, and it's profound for anyone, but
Yeah.
especially at that time in my life, going
Mm.
through menopause, my whole body changing, and I really struggled with some very strong symptoms.
Oh,
And so I remember like the first couple of times I did it, I would just weep the entire time
oh,
because
yeah,
it was
yeah,
so palpably like this
yeah,
return to that, even though, I've done a lot with sacred touch and whatnot. But bringing that back to me,
yeah,
for me, with my own hands at that level of full body was just so healing, to touch every part and nook and cranny and just get in there was like, oh my God, this must be what it's like for a baby to have, infant massage. It's that
yeah,
level of
yeah.
every part of you is beautiful. Every part of you is loved.
Yes,
Every part
absolutely.
of you, has purpose and wisdom and
Mm,
is
yeah,
in concert with everything else. And so it's just,
yes,
yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you to your
yeah.
mom. That's so fabulous.
No,
Mm.
she was super. She's like, this is great. This is great.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, that's really nice. I already shared my wish over here. I hope it comes true. Let's see. Let's pray for that. Um, uh, what else? Tell us about your book. Tell us about your
Mhm.
book. The
Mhm.
feminine thing that you wrote. I didn't read the full thing. We have you.
Mhm.
Talk.
Mhm.
I'm
You've
listening.
got
Yes.
me. Yes, so my first book, Faces of the Mother, I'm quite excited because I'm going to be republishing it this later this year. And, it's such a gorgeous expression of what it means to bring creation forward through the female psyche and the female way of creation. And so it showcases a group of women where I'm guiding them through a process, like in my work that I do with women. And we're working with the feminine archetypes. And so each woman was paired with an archetype. And archetypes are, these symbolic, beautiful representations of different aspects that we have in ourselves. And so each woman for 3 months walked with this face, this archetypal divine feminine face. And, we did a lot of beautiful work with that. I was doing various guided processes and things all along the way. And then each of them were listening to the wisdom of that archetype. And then we would come together and share about it so that we could have an understanding of all these faces, that one, live inside of society and live in and through the feminine, and then also reclaim them, that all of these faces also live in us, each one of us. And, and then each of these women created something. A lot did painting or different kinds of handwork or writing, poetry, song, photography. And so this book is a showcase of that journey. And so you have a real deep insider perspective of my work. That's very shamanic with a lot of elements of this feminine alchemy and archetype. And then you also get to kind of learn the bigger scope. I share a bit about what I went through, to bring this book forward and into the world, and what it called on me, and what it called on for all of these women to be able to walk in the world. Like, there's one thing when we talk about this, and then it's another thing to bring it into the day to day. And so it showcases, what we all went through, and what it is to really connect with that wisdom inside of you, really deep inside of you, and then to express it and bring it forward.
So, first book was you about your motherhood, right? You experiencing your motherhood. First book.
This was my first book. Yeah, The Faces of the
Yeah.
Mother.
Yeah. And then there is something I read, I couldn't read the full thing. It's about the feminine.
Yeah, so this book has a lot about the sacred feminine in it. It's all about, the sacred feminine and those faces of her. And then there were two other books that I've been a part of.
Tell us. I know there will be a lot to talk about, but tell us some qualities of feminine qualities that we can relate to them, feel them in our everyday life. Doesn't matter
Mm,
if you are a man, woman, whatever your gender is, you
mm.
can get in touch with your feminine. So 3 4 things that we can do easily in everyday life, get started somewhere, get started somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because whenever someone ever asks me, like, what are the qualities of the feminine? I refuse to answer, because it's such a personal journey. And so I think that would be one, two, and three, would be willing to go deeply inside of yourself and invite the feminine. And that can come through different things. It can come through looking at a rose, it can come through a statue of a goddess. It can come through just sitting before sunrise or sunset, or, gazing at a ladybug walking by. But it's that willingness to say, I would like to receive energy from the feminine and her guidance. And, connecting with the earth herself is one of the deepest, most profound ways. And then feeling what arises for you. Because each person, based on who they are, what body they're in, what their history is going to have a different aspect come forward that's deeply needed to balance, the wholeness in themselves through the feminine path. And so it's really important to honor that. I would say that's number one. Number two is to, really be willing to step into the unknown and to feel and get honest with yourself about what that feels like. And again, call upon that feminine, power, call upon that feminine knowing in those times, because now more than ever, we must step into the unknown together and not keep running from it or trying to manipulate it and make it into something. We've got to be able to stand in the unknown and calling in the feminine for that is incredibly beneficial. And then three, like that first book of mine, Faces of the Mother, creating something from the feminine. And so again, you don't have to have a particular formed understanding of what the feminine is. You just invite her in, and then you might write a song. You might go play on your piano or keyboard. You might go bake or cook something. But then you let that palpable energy move through you, and you become very aware when you're painting or you're writing, like, wow, this maybe feels different than I'm used to doing something, because we have very particular ideas of how to do things. But when we take a pause and we just say, dearest feminine, like, I invite you in to show me another way, show me how I might bake this bread. Yeah, very different experience. And then we just feel it along the way. So I hope I
Yeah.
answered the question.
Yes, absolutely. And I can. One thing I was listening to when you said, look at the sunset, look at the ladybug. Basically, in a state of relaxation, just relax. Yeah, not too much in here. Just drop into your heart chakra. Just feel. I don't know. I just felt like if you can relax, you can. Your heart opens up more.
Yes, and there's even a melting that happens,
Exactly.
when we just gaze at something, especially in nature, we start to unify with it, and we don't feel the boundary of, like, oh, this is me and that's the tree. We just feel, and then we feel like what's moving between us. And it's such a beautiful softening, and that really helps us enter into that more feminine receptivity, but also that energy of mutual um, conversation, cohesion, and oneness.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I will try to focus, I mean, not focus, but invite. Invite. I am really now, um, how do I say, as I explained my experience of getting intimate with my feminine, nothing like that. I just love the experience, and it has helped me to actually just open my heart, and it's okay that I was hurt. It's okay that I was nasty. It was okay. It's okay that I was angry. It was okay that everything was okay. Everything was okay. But now that I am understanding, uh, just allow, be there, go easy. Those kind of things were not there before. So I feel like I am living in a more relaxed state, and somebody is taking care of me. That somebody is taking care of me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that image, I think I heard you correctly where you said, I get into bed with the feminine, and like, that's a gorgeous practice right there of literally letting the feminine tuck you into bed at night, and feel
It is.
her. How is it that she would, and that's right there. That's like mother and babe energy right
Yeah,
there, where you get to
yeah,
become the babe. And what you just said of, like, all is fine, all is
yeah,
okay. Everything that happened, it's okay. Day is done. I tuck you in. I love you. Your whole system's gonna settle and regulate and drift off to sleep. And I kiss you good night. And
yeah.
when we absorb that and allow ourselves to feel that, it's so profound, so profound.
Yes, it is. It is. It is.
Mm.
Nothing like
Ah,
that.
mm,
I wish on this day today everyone to experience their feminine.
mm, mm.
And
Yes.
we got the tools. We got the tools.
Yes, may she sing to you tonight and tuck you into bed and give you
Yeah.
such a sweet kiss on your forehead.
Ah,
Mm.
I would love that.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And now coming back to you again. I'm sorry. Hope the time is okay for you.
Yeah, I do need to start wrapping it up. So let's
Yeah.
do, yeah, one
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
more thing and have some
Since
closure.
I looked into your screen, I just read that ceremonialist. Tell us something about that and how marriage evolved. Have you seen the change? How have you
Mhm.
seen it?
Mm, mm. Yeah. Oh, that's a big conversation. That's a big one.
We'll talk a
Um,
little bit, just a little.
yeah. So, ceremonialist is really bringing like sacred ceremony into our lives and allowing us to personalize that. So, one, it might be traditions that we're um, wanting to awaken and bring from our own religious or spiritual faith and practices. And also it's a very everyday way of being, so as a ceremonialist I might literally be holding space for people to get married, or do mama blessing ways, and do honoring of divorce. There's so many different nuances, or the passing of a life and having a ceremony around those things, or like really exciting moments that people or a family might want to celebrate. They've got a new home, or they're welcoming in a new baby, or things like that. And then ceremony also, so one of the biggest things I do in my classes and groups and in my one-on-one work with women is really having your whole day be an honoring, being a ceremony, and to kind of tease out your own ceremonies that help you throughout your day to feel that awakening of the sacred in you. And so, for example, for me, I have a morning ceremony, and I go and I stand on the earth outside, and I really take a moment to breathe with the earth and to honor, each of the directions, and just to honor my place here, and then connect with all of life. And so that's a ceremony. Or I
Wow.
have a lot of like sacred altars, and there's ways that I tend those through the seasons, or as my family has grown and changed, and um, placements, like places in our home or in our office that we really consecrate the sacred as ceremony, as daily living ceremony. So that's that. And then with marriage, yeah, I don't even know if I quite have words for what I've seen change. It's such an ever evolving thing, in so many ways. The shifts of more traditional marriage have kind of been broken open. They've really ruptured. And also, I see them coming back more than ever, of um, people really honoring, what it means to move through a sacred union together. So, yeah, there's so many components and aspects of that. And I think marriage unto itself is an opportunity to first and foremost begin with that marriage to life. The marriage we're making to love our lives, like you said, that
Yeah.
marriage to be at one inside of ourselves. So many women will do like a self marriage ceremony
Yeah.
where they're really wedding themselves at the
Wow.
holiest level, or we're offering up such devotion, like you said, to being willing to, like, in matrimony, in what that means to unify with the aliveness inside of us, and then taking that further out to, if we choose to walk through life with a beloved, and get married together, and or in
Yeah.
partnership. Again, just really, it's so beautiful. And what I do love, what I can really speak to, is um, marriage ceremonies that I've officiated as a ceremonialist. I love that the couple is really doing it personally, like they're putting it together. And that's a bit of my flair too, because that's what I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
support.
I mean,
But the
it's.
couple brings forward, what I mean, what it is that's most important to them. They're calling upon their own prayers, poems, traditions. And it is such an honor, to allow that ceremony to be this kind of artful expression of who they are and what they hold most dear and cherish about each other, and also about how they're going to walk through life together, and to honor that. So it's beautiful, really beautiful. And people bring in all kinds of traditions from other cultures, and they really, weave their own ceremony. And I just feel so honored to be a part of that.
That's so nice. It's about you, that you are making them feel special, do their special things, so that they can be themselves. They can bring their thoughts and ideas into and get engaged and get invested, so that they feel that yes, it's about us. It's like
Mhm.
the starting of responsibility, taking responsibility, sharing
Yeah,
responsibility.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a great maturity to say, I'm
yeah,
gonna, choose to step into a committed container with this person, and knowing it again transcends gender. It's like this is such a beautiful, holy matrimony. Yeah.
yeah. Amazing. Amazing, Rose. It was so beautiful talking to you. I laughed
Mm.
a lot. I I learned a lot. I felt like
Mm.
I have experienced my culture, uh, uh, my motherhood, early days of my motherhood. I was able to touch those memories and feelings, with you
Mm.
today, and it was a wonderful revisit for me, and
Mm.
it was lovely talking to you.
Oh, thank you, Mamina. It's such an honor. You are such oh my God, an overflowing fountain of vitality and joy. And yeah, obviously someone who loves her
Thank you so much. I have learned it recently.
life. Oh, come on. You look like you've been doing it forever. Mm.
I actually do it forever, but then in between something happened, and anyways, I'm back to that. That's what matters.
Mm. Yes, that is what matters. Mm. Mm. So glad you're
Oh,
back to it.
yeah, yeah, and thank you very much for being with us today. And you have a good night and good
Thank
weekend.
you.
I hope
Yes,
to
you
see
as
you
well.
soon. I'm hoping to work with you,
Mm,
actually. That's
mm,
my wish. Let's see.
mm, mm. I hear your wish. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Mm,
I want to work on it seriously,
mm,
and I'll just wait for it to knock, and then
mm,
I'm
mm.
ready.
Oh, thank you. So many
Thank
blessings.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Thank you. Thank you.